Welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. The Premier League season is back, and Mikel Arteta has said this season we're going to try to win each and every silverware that we're actually competing in. Now, last season we should have been champions somewhere, probably Europa League, probably FA Cup, probably the Premier League, but we didn't win anything, courtesy of a couple of mistakes or a couple of backslides here and there. Now, in this video, we're going to be diving into Mikel Arteta, the things he needs to learn from last season, things he got wrong, things that I think if he had improved on and worked on as a manager, we are going to be so much better. Now, in the comment box below, I know you agree with me and you also agree with Mikel Arteta that last season, one of the weaknesses was coming in from the manager's side. And I know there are a couple of things that you saw, probably substitutions, probably a few players that should be starting or should have started a couple of games during the back end of the season, like Leandro Trossard that didn't start. So let me know one change or one thing that you think Mikel Arteta should work on next season if Arsenal are going to be prosperous. Let me know in the comment box below, because I have 5 of those listed down here. Let's hit the like button for me. Let's get this one to 500 likes, and let's dive into my lessons from Mikel Arteta ahead of the new season. Number 1 is early substitutions, or you could call it timely substitutions. Now, last season we saw Mikel make substitutions, and I think some of his substitutions were actually very effective. Leandro Trossard coming on, at times Fabio Vieira coming on, and especially I was about to say Rhys Jones, but Rhys Nelson coming on. Rhys Nelson changed 2 games. The Nottingham Forest game at home, and also the Bournemouth game. I think that was at home as well. But my problem with Mikel is that 77th mark, that 80th mark. He waits too long to make substitutions. And like I said here in my notes, at times this is going to cost you a game that you should be winning. I'll give you an example. Arsenal were leading 1-0 against Southampton at home, actually away at the St. Mary's Stadium. It's Southampton found an equalizer. I think it was around 70 minutes or 77 minutes, around there. Arsenal still had another 10-15 minutes to bury that game. But Mikel Arteta only made substitutions of Fabio Vieira and Kieran Tierney very late into the game. For me, substitutions are very key. That's why we are having a 25-man squad. That is why substitutions are coming from 3 to 5. If you have 5 options to change a game, he had Fabio Vieira on the bench, he had Kieran Tierney on the bench. Those two give you something very different. But he had Rhys Nelson, Trossard on the bench, and then he waits and waits and waits until the 80th minute to make a substitution. It doesn't really make any sense. I understand as a manager, you want to keep that winning side, you want to keep it intact, but early substitutions are going to be very key. I love Pep Guardiola very much for that. If Pep sees that Bernardo Silva is not working, Erling Haaland is not working, he will take him off, right? 60 minutes, Erling Haaland has lost the battle against Saliba, take him off. I think Mikel needs to learn from this. He must be brave. If Odegaard is not working well, take him off. If Saka is not working well, take him off early in time to allow the new players get some time to orchestrate something and also create an impact on the game. So the substitutions were a point of weakness for Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta in particular last campaign. I hope he can actually work on that. Number 2 is we need to start picking players based on merit and stop picking favorites. Now, I'm not going to blame Mikel as a manager that really picks favorites a lot of the time, but I'm going to say there are a few players that we know are his favorites. Now, if Odegaard is his favorite, I don't have a problem with that. Odegaard is one of the best players. If Partey is his favorite, I don't have a problem with that. My problem is when Tomiyasu is available and was available last season, and Ben White reached a point where he struggled a little bit. I mean, it could be kind of due to fatigue. It could be due to maybe low self-esteem, a decline in form in season. Mikel Arteta keeps on picking the same player regardless of whether there is a better option. I don't think that is the way you want to go if you want to be ruthless. I don't think that is the way you want to go if you want to be a winner. You've seen the likes of Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola in Grealish's first season, he dropped him to the bench, regardless of how much money we've bought you, regardless of how much I like you, drop to the bench. You're not good enough at the moment. You should drop to the bench, and when you get better, you will be playing more game time. So for me, the favoritism has to stop. We need to go with players that are in form. We need to go with players on merit. Emile Smith-Rowe, for example, has had a very good under-21 campaign. Was it the Euros under-21 where England actually won it? I expect Emile Smith-Rowe to build on that confidence this season, and expect Mikel Arteta, because the guy is actually back on fire, to give him the chances. So I don't expect that kind of favoritism. We must be ruthless. The best player starts every single time. Okay, so, but I'm not blaming Mikel for picking favorites. All I'm saying, just go with merit. Number 3 is we need a plan B, a plan B, a plan B, and a plan B, and then a plan B1, plan B2, plan B3, and plan BC. Mikel says that he doesn't have any other plans. It is plan A1, plan A2, plan A3, and plan A4. I don't have a problem with Mikel literally, cherishing his ideas, because for me, when I look at Arsenal, this is a very different Arsenal. Our football is entertaining. The fans are entertained. The team is really full of spirit. So I like everything I see. But this is my problem. And I think Mikel is actually working on it. This one, I'll give him credit. He's already started working on it. When we played Man City last campaign, you saw what they did. They literally tossed the ball around, attracted us into a press, and then, bypassed our press and, ran into space and scored a couple of goals. When we played them in the Community Shield this campaign, it was different. Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard were pressing, but the rest of the team was actually very solid and intact. It meant that Manchester City could actually beat our first press in Odegaard and Kai Havertz, but then they would find Rice, Partey, and the rest of the lads in midfield. What I want us to do is to approach games differently. It's what I'm talking about, a plan B. Now, there are games like Goodson Park away, Sean Dyche. That guy is going to defend as if he's, as if he is defending a wall, protecting his wife in labor. He's so rigid. I don't expect Arsenal to expect to play fluid football through Everton at the Goodson Park. Can we go long? And this is where I'll give Mikel Arteta, a credit, because he decided to go, how about Kai Havertz, with those good runs into the penalty area, with players like Alexander Zinchenko able to pick his head up into among a crowd. How about I go with a long striker, with a long player? And I think long balls are going to be an alternative. So our plan B has to be very, very effective. We must practice it almost on a daily, because games are going to change. Look at Luton Town. Luton Town are going to sit in a low block. Sheffield will sit in a low block. There's so many clubs that are going to sit in a low block against Arsenal, and we need to bypass that price. We need to bypass that low block. So you need to find a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D, for sure. But I think we might have already seen Mikel Arteta's plan B. Apart from inverting midfielders, fullbacks into midfield, we are also going to go long. We are also going to bring in a goalkeeper in David Raya who can actually find those long balls over the top. Number 4, Mikel Arteta must fix the home defensive form. We must keep clean sheets at home, and we must make the Emirates Stadium a fortress. It is utterly embarrassing. It is sheerly a disgraceful statement for me to say that Arsenal had a poor record at home as compared to away. How do you justify that? How do you say that we didn't win the league because our home form was atrocious? That our home form was actually worse than our away form? Would you say that? It's purely atrocious. So what Mikel has got to work on here is, when we go away from home, we've been very, very conservative. We've been very disciplined. And you look at those games where we were away, we didn't concede so many goals. We created a couple of chances. We took our chances. It was almost like he told the players, this is the job at hand. You either deliver or you're out. At the Emirates Stadium, I do not know what he told the boys. The spirit the information the boys get when they are going to the GTEC Community Stadium, when they're going to the Etihad, the Anfield, is the same information we must have at home. We cannot say we are conceding more goals at home as compared to away. We must make our home a fortress. We're playing 19 games there. I expect Arsenal to win 15 of the 19 games at home next campaign, conceding at most actually 20 goals. If you concede 20 in 15, that's all right. We can concede another probably 15 away on the road, and that will actually be much better. I think our defensive record is going to become a little bit better. A better goalkeeper has now come in David Dreyer. Jalen Timber, a more ruthless centre-back. It was Royce as well, joining William Saliba in that centre-back partnership. So it's all right. It's okay. But we've got to make that home defensive record stand. It is very, very weak. And lastly, do not overlook any silverware, especially the FA Cup. One of the things that really baffled me last campaign with Mikel Arteta is he decided where we will compete and where we will not compete. It is embarrassing that in the FA Cup, Arsenal, ever since winning that title, that trophy, that was in 2019. Was it 2019? Yeah, I think 2020. Yeah, we won it in 2020. Ever since winning it in 2020, Arsenal have not come close to the semi-finals ever since then. It is embarrassing. It's our trophy. We've got to make it to the finals every once, at least in 3 years, right? Once in 3 years, we must be there. So, but one thing we've got to do is that we don't have to overlook silverware. One of the reasons why Man City actually enjoy Premier League titles is they always focus on these small silverware. They're more like milestones. If you've played games before on your mobile phone, you'll understand that every time you reach a certain level, you're geared up to go to the next one. So if you win the Carabao Cup, you'll be geared up to go for the next games in the UEFA Champions League. And if you win the FA Cup or you are in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, you're thinking about silverware. So for me, Arsenal need to focus on a lot this season, but don't overlook any silverware, and we should be focusing on the big prize. That is the Premier League, as we fight for all the other trophies. Hit the like button, subscribe. What is one thing that Mikel Arteta needs to change this season as he tries to win the Premier League for the first time for Arsenal since the Invisibles in 2003-2004?